The biggest lie in jazz guitar is that to play faster, you just need to turn up the metronome and muscle your way through it. So right there, that's what happens when you try to force notes. It's exhausting, inconsistent, and just sounds pretty bad. However, real speed doesn't come from force. It comes from having small, highly executable patterns that move with your picking hand, not against it. Just like I used. And today I'm going to show you the ultimate cheat code for fluid high-speed lines. Okay, so to pull this off today, we are going to use a specific engine, the George Benson style picking method. You don't need to overhaul your entire technique though. You're simply adding a specialized tool to your toolbox. So to execute these shapes at high speeds, you only need to master two physical rules right now. Tilt the front of your pick upward to create a downward pick slant, like this. And then once we have that angle, use rest strokes on your downstrokes, meaning that your pick pushes through the string and physically rests on the next one when we pick down. If you need a deep dive into the exact wrist mechanics of this style, I have an entire masterclass on it. The link is in the description. But once you have that downward slant locked in, you're ready for the first building block, our first speed shape. The secret to this shape isn't just the notes, it's where the strain change happens in relation to the picking. Watch what happens when I try to change strains on a downstroke. Did you see how I had to lift my pick over the next strain in order to change? That's inefficient, which is why we try to keep our strain changes on an upstroke. When you practice this first shape, remember that speed comes from efficiency, not tension. I'm using a light touch, and I'm trying to be as relaxed as possible. And also notice that my hands are not flying up. Alright, so we have this one shape, but notice how we have to go the notes. So how do we change that direction without breaking this picking code? Well, we use one simple cheat. Watch this. By adding one quick pull-off at the end of the shape, I shifted the math of the picking hand. This guarantees that even when I'm moving down the neck, I still am changing strains on an upstroke. The mechanics stay identical, allowing you to move uninterrupted. So it would be a good idea to practice this speed picking pattern both vertically across the neck and horizontally, since it's just a shape that we can physically just move, right? So we could go something like this. Almost creating a line. So that's our first piece of the puzzle. Here's the second one. So this second building block uses the other side of the Benson system, the downward sweep. This is essentially a continuous chain of rest strokes. So you start with an upstroke, and then let the pick sweep through the strains in one motion, and then finish on an upstroke. It's almost like if you played this as a chord. It would be the same motion. And the important thing here is not necessarily the shape that I'm using, which this is a good shape to use, but it's the picking mechanics. So we could take this and use it with any arpeggio, right? I could use it with a C minor 7 arpeggio, as long as it falls within the same shape and picking mechanics. Right? So we could use this for any arpeggio, really, as long as it falls within the mechanics. Now, here's where the magic happens. When you fuse these two building blocks together, our speed shape 1 and speed shape 2, you can create massive unbroken lines like this. So notice what happened there. I didn't have to learn an entirely new way to play. I just learned how to connect these two mechanical pieces into a larger line. But here's the real pro secret here. I'm not calculating every single note in that line. When you play this at velocity, it's less about the specific individual notes and more about where you land. The goal is to let the mechanics do all the heavy lifting, while you focus on landing firmly on a chord tone or linking it to a familiar phrase. So for example, on this line I was going from G7 to C. I started with that second sweep shape, linked it to the first shape using that pull off to maintain the same fingering, and then just shifted that pattern until I landed on a chord tone of C major. It's a good idea to also practice this with a metronome too, so you can feel the subdivisions when you're playing fast. So if you want the PDF with all these shapes and sweep directions clearly tabbed out so you can drill them with the metronome like I just did, you can grab that on my Patreon, which is linked below. But check this out, this is really cool. You can also use these as launchers, using these mechanics to build massive speed before transitioning back to your normal playing style. For example, something like this. The first part of this serves as a launcher, using just our two shapes, and then I link it to some language that I already know, not worrying about the picking on that piece of language. Or you can apply this mechanic to an entire phrase. However, you would need to stay within the picking in order to make this work. So an example of that could sound like this. So you notice it's all of our picking patterns but put together. So we have the first one, and then the sweep shape. And I'm not worried, I'm just playing the motion here, the same picking pattern, right? Down the first one again, up the second one, thinking diminished off the third, and then landing with the first one. So you can see having these basic shapes not only helps your technique, but allows you to play these cells that make you play so much faster because of the mechanics of your picking. This is what playing fast means. It's not muscling through. It's having these clear ideas in a picking that lets you execute the lines at a high tempo. So if you're tired about guessing what to practice and want a clear roadmap to mastering all these mechanics, then join my Jazz Guitar Academy over on Patreon. I just launched a brand new master syllabus with curated learning paths designed to take you from the basics to this level of fluidity. I have a bunch of other lessons on there about picking, some Barney Kessel sweeps, and of course the George Benson Picking Masterclass. Or if you want to see lines from Benson himself, then check the video in the corner of the screen where I break down some actual Benson lines and talk about the picking mechanics behind them. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Patreons that make this channel possible. Without you guys, none of this would exist. I truly appreciate your support. Thank you. So grab your guitars, I'll see you in the shed, and remember to always keep swinging.